Hey guys, Cosmos here from Wartune HoH Heroes server 1, and here I'm on my archer's character. He's going to be doing refining equipment and rings and jewelry, and so this is going to be a guide on item refinement or equipment refinement. So let's pop in. So to refine, you go to the blacksmith, which is at the bottom right here. Or you can also click on the blacksmith building or the icon on the bottom. If the buttons are not open, of course you open them with a plus, so that's what it's there for. I usually like to have them open, but I know some people like to have the screen as clear as possible. So in the blacksmith we need to go to refinement, but a short word on recycle. In refinement you need to use a lot of these refinement crystals, and one of the main ways of getting it is via recycling. I don't have any extra equipment on me right now because I already recycled them, but when you get like green and blue items from dungeons, you can add them up to be recycled, and for purple ones you'll get 18 refinement crystals, and of course less 4 and 1 I think it was for the blue and green. So that will be your main income of refinement crystals. You can of course get refinement crystals also via different events. You can of course buy them in the shop with balloons. They should be hanging around somewhere over here. Let me find them. There, they're all the way at the bottom of the items in the shop. So you got level 1, which is good for equipment, which is from level 1 to 29. Level 2, which is good from 30 to 59. So the 1 and the 2 actually are relatively easy to gather. I mean, when you compare it, you know, level 3 is much harder. So with level 3, it's for equipment of 60 plus, and it's a lot tougher to gather those, but still everything is possible. If you are a free player, you can gather them slowly over time by doing dungeons and such, and if you are if you can spend balance, you can always buy them. So that's it. So now that we got the refinement crystals cleared up, you see in my bag I got a different amount of different ones. This is because this is bound and unbound. You can combine them. Let's find them in the bag. So they can be combined. Let me just try it out. No, actually it doesn't work. So it has to be fixed still. So there's still some small glitches. No, not a big deal. So it's just bound, unbound, basically for refinement crystals. But let's go to the guide for refining the equipment itself. So the first thing is making sure you use it on the right equipment. You don't want to let me just go to campaign and just pick anyone with just to look at the drops. I'm not going to be doing the campaign itself. You don't want to be refining like this, for example the giant bone helmet, green one, or the lava helmet, the blue one. You actually also don't really want to spend your hard-earned refinement crystals on even single purple items that you can find, and I suggest strongly that you spend your refinement crystals on either the arena sets or the catacombs. So arena sets are usually targeted for player versus player, or the catacombs PvE sets, which is the ones I have here. I'm wearing now the 60 set, and here is the 50 set for the archer. So those are of course powerful sets, and you want to make them even more powerful. So because refinement crystals are so difficult to gather, and each refinement is going to be using up 18 refinement crystals, which is a lot because these items are technically in the purple category, and then you don't want to just go around wasting your refinement crystals right and left. So when we talk about correct equipment, I highly suggest that you guys spend your refinement crystals on refining really good items, that is the arena sets or the catacomb sets. Now before you begin, of course you need to have the items that you want to refine. You need to have your refinement crystals, And rarely there can be a time where you will find or you will see events or a special rewards, refinement locks, and those are more rare. Those are used to let me put one of the equipment over here. Those are used to lock these attributes in place instead of balance. So I don't have any on me now because those are rare here, and but if you have those, make sure not to waste them. So let's go back to refine. So we talked about refinement crystals. I mentioned briefly the refinement locks. I talked about the correct equipment, and of course balance. Now you see here there's a tick box for use bound first. So usually I like to keep it on. Of course with balance you have on top left you can see regular balance or unbound, and you have the bound balance. I have 5 of those because I already spent everything I got. Now bound balance of course have limitations on them, so it does make sense that you first spend any bound balance before spending any of your regular or unbound balance. So I'd suggest to keep this tick mark on. And the auto buy button, this is actually it's okay if you know what you're doing to tick it, but if you're absolutely new, I wouldn't tick it. It will automatically purchase refinement crystals directly from the shop when you run out of them. So if you have lots of balance, you can tick it and just continue refining carefree. But if you are careful, you know, if you have limited balance and you don't want to accidentally lose them or spend them on something you didn't mean to, then keep this unticked so it doesn't automatically buy. Now with balance, you can lock these attributes in place. You see when I click on the lock, it says locking a stat cost balance. Do you want to continue? It'll actually cost 10 balance. It doesn't say the number, but it'll be 10 balance per lock. So if and you can see that on the bottom right here actually, even though it doesn't say in the warning window. Now if I lock this one and I'll lock the next one and I'll lock the next one, you see it wrote at the bottom right 30 balance. If I do another one, it'll be 40 balance. So you can see it's 10 balance per lock. And actually if I lock 3 of these locks, then and click on the refine button, it'll take 30 balance, but it'll take it every time I refine. So if I keep these locked and I keep on refining, it'll be like 30 balance, 30 balance, 30 balance, which is fair because every time it's a different calculation. So that's when it comes to balance. Now when you want to start the refinement itself, you of course have to be in the refinement tab, and you need to put the equipment that you want to refine. So one of the best things you can do before you begin is put every item one after another and see which one is in a really terrible shape and which one is not. So let's begin, let's say with my bow. So my bow here has got defense level 9, and it's got magic defense, it's got physical attack, block, and physical defense. And here, you know, it's not in absolute terrible shape. It does have physical attack that I like. It does have the defense, and I'll talk about decisions a little bit down the road. But I can see this is not, you know, in a terrible shape. So I can spend some crystals on that, but it's not a big deal. Now the hat here, you see it's got magic defense only level 1, crit only level 2. It's got block that I don't particularly need on this character build, but it does have level 10 physical defense and level 9 HP. Those are nice, so when I do work on this item, probably I'll lock these 2 attributes. So next up, so I talked about the locks, I talked about the stats. Now you see here the crystals next to the item shown. So you can see that it is using 18 crystals every time. It's on the right hand side here, and I have 165. So I actually have a lot more in the back, but it is because he's showing the bound ones, I believe, first. So that's why it's showing 165. But it'll and that's a good thing that he first uses the bound items before the unbound items. So that's important. Now let's continue with making decisions. So to know which actually attributes, you know, people are always talking about you should do this or you should do that. It's not so black and white. There is not one rule that everybody has to follow. There is a difference. For example, I'm an archer, and as an archer, I have to be a kind of critical build archer, which means basically there are, in short, as a side point, there are two character builds that you can follow to be most efficient. There is the critical build and there is Will Destroyer, and those are coming from astral selection. So let me go into astrals here. So if you're a critical build character, that means you are building your character in such a way to hit very often critical damage. So you want to do a lot of damage via critical, and you want it to succeed very often. So it'll be quite silly if you're a critical build and you have very low critical. So when you are a critical build character, you want to maximize your stat, which you can see in the stats in your character. So with this where is it, physical attack, magic attack, I think it's that one attack, it's got a wrong word for it, but basically that should be corrected. Basically you want to increase your critical attribute as much as possible. So you see, for example, on my items, I usually put the 4th gem always to critical as an archer, and that way I can increase. So that is the critical build, and therefore when you're doing refinement, certainly for archers, what you want to make sure is that you see, for example, on my bow, there is not a single of these 5 attributes, none of them is critical, and that's very bad. What I recommend is, if you're a critical build, make sure that you have critical on every item, because it'll be quite silly if you don't do critical attacks. So on the other hand, if you're Will Destroyer build, there is no sense of having, let's put my hat for example, you see it says crit plus 97. If I'm Will Destroyer build, now Will Destroyer build is using the astral called Will Destroyer, that's why it's such a creative name for it. Basically it's following the same name as the astral. Here it is on the bottom right, enhanced Will Destroyer. Now this will increase your damage by a certain percentage always, but it'll disable forever and ever critical attacks. So you will never ever do critical attacks, you will always just hit more. So of course not as much as a critical amount. So if you're following that build, it makes no sense in the refinement to have critical stat in there, or attribute. These are stats or attributes. So let me see if, so for example on my armor there's very nice level 6 critical. I'd actually want to keep that maybe for this character, but if I'm a knight or a mage who is following a Will Destroyer build, I definitely want to get rid of that crit and put something else useful. And there's something else we can talk about a bit later. It can be, for example, block. Now so that's the difference between the builds. So depending on which type you are, that's your refinement attributes will be determined a little bit by that. Now you also have difference, and that's a little bit obvious, between mages versus knights and archers. So mages of course need magic attack. So my bow is absolutely no good for a mage. It's got no plus magic attack, it's got no plus intelligence. So it really would have to be changed if this was a staff. But for archers and knights, you do want the physical attack and strength or power attributes. Strength and power are the same thing. So that's the difference, of course, between those classes, and it also then shows in the item refinement. Then you have the difference between, let's say, a Will Destroyer knight and a critical build based knight. So the Will Destroyer Knight, as we discussed in the character build, should of course avoid any critical, and instead, especially that's why I highlight knights for this, would be a really good idea to put block then, because knights have additional benefits for that. Not only they block the damage, so they're harder to kill, but knights can also heal from blocking due to their skills. So that's something a Will Destroyer Knight should definitely consider, making sure that you have block. Say here you see block plus 122. It's not that good because it's only level 4, but basically you want to have a block stat if you're a Will Destroyer Knight. On the other hand, if you are for whatever reason a critical build knight, then you kind of have to put a critical attribute in there. And as a knight, if you also want to put block, that is going to become really difficult, because then you will use up 2 stats out of 5, and that'll leave you very little room to put to use any other of the good attributes. So for critical knight, it's a little bit difficult. You can't have both. I would say you cannot, or I would say you should not have both block and crit. So between the two, if you're doing a critical build knight, that's already a dangerous thing, and let's say an advanced strategy, so you should know a little bit of what you're doing, but basically you would have to go with a crit attribute, and I wouldn't suggest taking block in that case. Now let's go into actual refinements and talk about priorities. Now you will have different people having different opinions, but I've played Wartune for a very long time, and so what I recommend to you is that you prioritize, number 1, your offensive power. So if you're a mage, I suggest that you put magic attack. Let me see if I can find something with magic attack and intelligence, or none of my items have it. Strength, there's strength, so that's a good one that I can show. There's magic defense. It's strange none of my items have magic attack, but you get the idea. For a mage, you want to have magic attack and intelligence. So those are the important things that you want as a mage. And you want to have, I suggest that you have both of those, both plus MATK and plus to intelligence. That'll increase your offense by a big amount. And the reason I say that is because on one side, if you wanna if you kill people faster, then you need less defense and less health. But another big reason is that you get more income from the world boss event, and that's pretty important, because there's really a big income of gold and daru that you're missing out if you sacrifice your offensive power. Now, if for whatever reason you have to choose between the two, I always recommend intelligence versus the individual stat, because intelligence will give you not only magic attack but also 1/4 of magic defense. Now for knights and archers, same logic, but you need to get like strength here, you see, strength and physical attack, like I have here on this Brooch. Of course, the physical attack is at lower level, but still, here you see strength plus 29. That's really nice. So if you can have both of these on the item, I would say your priority 1 is perfect. So then after this, priority 2 is for me defense, and by defense I don't mean the individual magic defense like I have here on the second line, magic defense. But I do mean defense, like on the first line the word defense plus 35 here, level 9, because defense increases both your magic defense and your physical defense. And because we only have 5 attributes here, you don't want to waste kind of a lot of space by additional defense, unless of course you want to go some kind of a crazy defensive build. But for me, just having defense would be good enough. So So far we got 2 attributes. I recommend offense, which is attack, 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 and the third attribute, defense. Now for priority number 3 after attack and defense, I recommend health. So and in health I specifically recommend endurance. So I think one of these items here I had endurance, this one has, and this one has. So here I have endurance level 10, and that's pretty awesome because endurance gives more benefit to health than just the HP attribute. Although on my bow here, no, on the hat I think it was, let's see, yeah, on the hat here I have HP level 9. So I'm not when I refine this one, I'm not gonna try to get endurance because I'm pretty happy for such a high level HP attribute, so I'm gonna keep that one. But if you do have a choice, try to get the endurance, just like getting intelligence versus magic attack. If you have to make a choice, and getting strength and power instead of physical attack, if again you have to make a choice. So that for me would be ideal. And then you have the last attributes, because if you have two attributes or stats putting for offensive power, 1 for defense and 1 for increasing your health, you only have 1 attribute left. So on that last attribute, if you're a critical build, you kind of have to, and I recommend that you put plus to crit, and that'll be your 5th attribute. If you are Will Destroyer Knight, then you want to put block, like we discussed. Otherwise, you can, that's your kind of a joker attribute, let's say. Otherwise, if let's say you have for whatever reason really weak magic defense, then getting additional plus to MDef would be really good. Or if you have really weak, like if you're a mage, your magic defense is usually quite high because your magic attack is high, and therefore you're also getting a defensive benefit for that. But mages, for example, always have problems with having sufficient physical defense. So if you as a mage, you for example have a choice to put the 5th one as block, or you can also go ahead with, if you find like here level 10 physical defense, I would actually keep that as a 5th attribute, because level 10 is very difficult to find. So if you manage to get 2 attacks, 1 defense and 1 endurance or HP, and the 5th one you get a level 10 physical defense as a mage, I'd keep that. So that's what I recommend. Now so far we talked about the ideal case scenario, but of course when you start refining, and if you have limited crystals, let's say I have this 165 and not more. Now roughly speaking, not exactly speaking, I can do like 9 times refinement. So that's not so much. If you imagine I have to do, let's say, my bow, my hat, my armor, and the brooch, and also 2 rings and 2 jewels. If I have only refinement crystals enough for clicking the refine button 9 times, that is not enormous. So I have to make choices. That's why I said in the beginning, look at your items and see which one is in big trouble. Like for me, this helmet is kind of in big trouble because it doesn't have the most important things that I need. I need plus to physical attack, I need defense, and it doesn't have, it has a 10 physical defense, but if it doesn't have the most important things, you know, for this archer character, for sure I will re-roll this plus this level 10 physical defense. So and I will do that on the screen. I just want to explain the logic to you first so you understand. So there is a difference between the ideal case scenario and the real world. So just try knowing what's the best, or what I recommend. Try to get in that direction, or try to get there. Of course, if you're spending balance, you can buy things. It'll be easier for you to advance. But if you only have limited resources, it'll take a longer time. But if you know where you want to get, you can fix up items on the way and slowly get there. Now the next important thing to know with refinement is the correct attribute or stat versus the level of the item. So for example, let me find one. Like here on my hat I have crit level 2. if I only have limited refinement crystals, of course everybody understands level 10 is better. But if I have limited resources, then I actually prefer to have the correct attribute at low level than to have the wrong attribute at the high level. So for me here on this hat, the crit is the correct attribute for my archer. It's level 2, but it's the correct attribute, so I prefer to keep that. But the physical defense, and I know some people would keep it, but in this case I would get rid of it. It is at high level, but for me it's the wrong attribute because everything else is wrong. So I will re-roll this physical defense 10. I think, now that I think of it, I will for sure re-roll it, because I need the more items you roll. So for example, if I would block this HP and I would block this physical defense, and I roll only the 3, by roll I mean I click the refine button and it'll give me new attributes for the 3 stats which are unlocked. It only gives me 3 chances to get the right thing. So also locking is not always the best idea. Try to lock as minimum as possible, but of course definitely lock really awesome things. So in this case I will lock the HP, but I will unlock the physical defense because that'll give me an additional chance to get something I really need. So that's the difference between the correct attribute and the correct level. So I think and I recommend that you get the correct attribute first and worry about having it at a higher level second. So let's go in and try some refinements now that we're into it. Remember I told you that when you lock something and you click on refine, it's going to take, for example, if I lock this HP, it's going to take 10 balance, which you can see that on the bottom right here. And if I click on refine and then again refine and again refine, it's going to take 10 balance each time. So be careful with that, so you don't complain afterwards if you have spent your balance. So let's get going and refine some of my equipment. I think my 50 cent, if I remember, I already refined. So let's look at my bow from the 50 set. I have endurance, level 6. I have strength, which is good. So I got my health taken care of. I got my attack taken care of. Ideally, as you know, I want an additional attack, but I didn't have enough, I think, refinement crystals at the time. But I have very nice critical level 9. I do have defense, although it's at lower level. It's exactly the attribute I need. And for the Joker 5th attribute, I've gotten the physical defense here. Also, it's more important as you're growing in the beginning to have more physical defense and magic defense. Like for example, if you take Catacombs up to level 50, you need much more physical defense. After level 50, you need much more magic defense. So in the beginning, and this is why I think my 50 set I put more physical defense, it's from this logic. If we look at my hat, on my hat I have physical attack level 9, defense level 8, strength level 6, endurance level 8. So I got my first 3 priorities right there. I got double attack, I got my defense, I got my HP, and for the last attribute, you see I have additional HP, and one of the main reasons for this is because it came out, a level 10 came up, so it was so awesome I kept it. If we look at my armor, I got strength here level 8, a physical attack level 4, but it's the correct attribute, so I kept it. I got lucky with endurance level 10, so that's awesome. I got my crit, which is good, and I got defense level 10, which is awesome. So this item is like the perfect item for this is the ideal case scenario. Of course, if I would pump a lot of balance and try to get higher levels of these, that would be possible, but the attributes themselves are the exact attributes that I want on this character. So that's that. And lastly, let's look at my Brooch before we start clicking around. So I got physical attack only level 3, but it's good enough. Critical also only level 3, but it's the correct attribute. Defense, strength, endurance 10. So again, beautiful, exactly the items I need for this character. So with these examples, let's do some refinements on my 60 set that I didn't touch yet. Now, I told you that my bow is not in such a bad shape. It's got defense level 9, so it's good. I'm actually gonna lock that one. Magic defense, I don't want it right now, but a physical attack is good. Level 8 is pretty good. The rest I don't need, so I'm gonna you see here on bottom right now, because I locked these two things, is gonna cost me 20 balance. So I'm gonna go ahead and refine, and you can see on the top I have 8,685 balance. So when I click the refine, you'll see that'll go down by 20. It goes now, boom. So so that went down, and now I got the new attributes. And the new attributes, the defense of course is capped, and the physical attack is capped, so the first one, the third. And the new ones I got is block, strength, and HP. Now the strength is, you know, I want that, so I'm gonna click on change. I'm gonna take those over, and I'm actually gonna lock the strength. So now it's gonna cost me 30 balance, and I'm gonna refine that further. And in this case I got endurance 9 and HP. So I'm gonna take that. They're both at level 9. Now I would ideally want the endurance together with crit, but I didn't get lucky, and let's say I'm running out of refinement crystals. So this item, I will keep it like that. It's gonna give me extra health, and I'm gonna keep that in my memory, because if on another item I don't get health, I remember that I got double the health on this one, so it's kind of okay. So let's go ahead with, and bell rating should normally go up as well if you did good refinements. Now let's go ahead on to my hat. On my hat, I got magic defense level 1 is terrible. Crit level 2 as a beginning, for the beginning, I think it's not good. I think I can try to get a better level for that one. Block I don't want. Physical defense is awesome, level 10, but I'd only want that if that was the 5th attribute, and I first want to get the other ones. And HP 9 also, I might keep that if that was the 5th attribute, but again I want to get my first 3 priorities, so I'm gonna roll the whole thing without locking anything. There we got magic defense level 10, but again I can't take it if everything else is not okay. So I'm actually gonna refine it or re-roll it again, because it's still all no good. But I'm actually gonna change it first, because magic defense 10 is, but okay, it didn't matter too much. Let's refine it again. Endurance 7, block, physical defense, physical attack and defense level 1. Again, it's just really unlucky, and you have to be careful. You will not get, you might get lucky sometimes and get awesome stuff, but you might get unlucky, and many times in a row you might get terrible things. Now here I could take the physical attack and lock it, and I could take the endurance as well and lock it. Here is a choice. I would say if you're running out, take it over, and at least endurance and physical attack is okay, and the defense will give you something. So if I would be totally running out of crystals, I'd keep the item like this and try to improve it over time later on. But since I have the resources, and we're making a nice video, so I'm gonna roll it again. Now here I got level 8 physical attack on the 3rd line. Everything else again I don't want, so I'm gonna take it over, and I'm gonna lock only that physical attack. Rolling it again, I got on the 4th line on the 5th line I got defense level 9, and on the 4th I got strength level 7. And I see I'm not getting lucky with this roll, so I'm gonna actually take those and re-roll the 2 remaining, hoping to get definitely a higher level of crit. Got endurance 2 and physical defense, that's no good. And I got now magic defense 9 and endurance 9. So now I'm gonna take those over, because like I said, my 3rd priority is health, so I'm actually gonna lock endurance. Now this is becoming really expensive, because locking 4 attributes and having to roll only 1 with the hope that you get the right one, that is very low chances of success. So, but the only way, so you could keep the item like this. Magic defense 9 is pretty nice, but I really would want to get crit in there. But just let's imagining that I'm running out of resources, I'm actually going to keep the item like this. Let's go to my armor. Endurance 1, no good. Crit 6, I could live with that if everything else was okay, but it's not. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock only the strength, because level 8 strength is pretty nice. I'm going to refine everything else. You have insufficient refinement crystals. Do you want to continue with the unbound refinement crystals? Because these were the bound ones. So I'm going to continue with unbound, and you see immediately it shows 1002. So as before, it was showing me the total of only the bound ones. So here we go, the new stats: charisma, 9 endurance, which is nice. I'm seeing it seems like I'm getting a lot of luck with endurance, but nothing else. So I'm gonna take that over and lock the endurance. So I'm gonna get a lot more health. So now I got defense level 9, which is awesome. Of course, the endurance is capped and the strength is capped. I got crit level 4 and magic defense. So I'm gonna take that over. So what am I missing? I'm missing, let's say, in my ideal case scenario, I would like to have physical attack in addition to strength instead of the magic defense. But this magic defense is level 8. That's going to help me. So, and this item now I would say is in a pretty decent shape. So I can keep on rolling and trying to get it perfect. But for now, I think is good. Now let's go with my Brooch. It's the last item I will do. So in the Brooch I have physical defense level 1. I'm definitely gonna have to change. Charisma level 1 definitely has to go, but the defense 9 is awesome. Now the magic defense 10 is also awesome, but like I told you, if I would lock the magic defense, I reduce my chances of finding what I want, you know, by 1/4. Because if I would lock this, I would only roll 3 attributes. If I unlock it, I would roll 4. So there's bigger chance of finding the things I need if I allow more of them to be changed. So I'm only gonna lock the defense because that one is just awesome, and I'm gonna refine the rest. So here I got a bunch of stuff on top that I don't need at all, but at the bottom on the last line I got strength level 10. That is absolutely awesome. I'm gonna take that over and lock that strength. Now I got 2 things locked. It's gonna cost me 20 balance to continue refinement. And of course my balance are also reducing. You can see that on the top side. Now with the 3 changed, I got magic defense turned into physical attack, level 4, but it's the right attribute, let's say. The rest I'm not interested, so I'm gonna take that over, and I'm thinking, should I lock the level 4 physical attack? If I was low on resources, I would lock it, or I would keep it. But the charisma and HP definitely gotta go. I don't want those. I don't want the attribute. Charisma for sure, and then the HP is just too low level. If it was high, I'd keep it because my 3rd priority, remember, is health. So rolling it again, physical attack low level 3, block level 2, crit level 8. So I'm gonna take that, lock the crit, roll it again. I get block level 10, which would be awesome if I was a Will Destroyer Knight, for example, or even if I was a mage, perhaps. HP 6, but for my archer I don't need these, so I'm gonna refine again. Block and physical defense again, refine, HP 10. Now that is awesome, so I'm gonna take that over, and now I have strength level 10. I have physical attack level 4, which is lower, but it's the right attribute. I got the critical, I got the defense, and I got, instead of endurance, I got HP, which is level 10. So it's good. So it's a pretty good refine now on my Brooch, so I'm pretty happy with that. So basically that's how you do item refinement, and when you finish, you see my bell rating just shot up. You can go to the beginning of the video to see how much I had, but now I have 57,778. Would be awesome if it was 777, but still, it went up by, I think, 4 or 5,000. I don't remember where I started. I think I was 52 or something, but something like 4 or 5,000. It increased, which is awesome. So you see how important the item refinements are. Now, of course, the bell rating itself is not the most important thing in the world. It's much more important that you make yourself strong and having the correct things. And but of course, doing everything and improving everything does increase your bell rating. So that's an indicator of if you're doing things well. So that's it, you guys. That was like 40 minutes of really in-depth, fully explained item refinement, equipment refinement strategy, equipment refinement guide. So I hope you did like and appreciate that, and if so, please do click on like and subscribe below the video. That will help a lot. Also, please share with your friends so that they can benefit. Also, sharing your guild so your guildmates can get stronger. Of course, if everybody in your guild is stronger, you have higher chances of winning guild battles. So share also there. And if you're using Facebook, Google+, Twitter, or anything like that, share over there as well if you want to support. That's also always wonderful. And if you guys want to try out the game, if you haven't played it yet on the mobile, definitely try it out. Wartune HoH. You can download it in your app stores. Doesn't matter if you're using iOS or Android. It's available on both, so you can get it. If you want more information, you can go to Kabam.com. Or if you want to check out some other games also, Kabam's got a whole list of games. Check it out. Kabam.com. Otherwise, for lots of Wartune videos and information, you can go to my main website, dollygames.com. That's my umbrella website. Got all the blogs and websites and videos linked from there. So that's the only one you need to bookmark, dollygames.com. And all the links I'll put down below in the description of the video as well. So thanks for watching, you guys, and I hope that was really useful for you. I wish you guys to get a lot stronger. And if you got any comments or whatever, put it down below the video. And that's it. Thanks for watching and have a very nice day.